Hi, this is DeneenTB, and this is the Truth in Business Show. And today what we're going to be talking about is deconstructing the hamburger. What does that mean? It means how to put your goals into actionable steps. Won't you join me? So when I talk about deconstructing the hamburger, the reason that I call it that is because of a story, of course, that happened to me. You see, a few years ago, back in 2016, I went to a nutritionist. And the reason I went to a nutritionist is that I was on high blood pressure medicine and I wanted to get off of it. That was my goal. And I really couldn't see a way to do it because one, I needed accountability, but two, I needed a step-by-step instruction in order to do it. And a lot of us with our goals, we need to know how to pull them apart so they don't look like they're so big. So why did I call it deconstructing the hamburger? Well, this is what happened. The first thing that the nutritionist plan required of me was that I give up sugar and gluten. So that meant no more bread, right? But I loved hamburgers. I like loaded hamburgers. I like them with everything. Tomato and cheese and onion and pickle and lettuce and avocado and bacon. I love it. None of those foods were off limits. So I went to a restaurant while I was on this nutrition plan, my first time, and I said, I'm going to get a hamburger. And of course, I wasn't allowed to have the fries either. So when that hamburger came with no bun, it was still all stacked up and it looked really sad on that plate. And I remember thinking, I don't want to eat this. Why did I order this? I should have ordered something else. And what I did is I decided that I'm going to make it look better. So what I did first was take all the ingredients apart. Now my plate was full and it was awesome. Then what I discovered was that I could start to make flavor combinations that were really, really good as well. I could have some avocado and onion, or I could have some tomato and lettuce, or I could make a bite and have all of those pieces of the whole hamburger on one forkful. So how does this relate to having actionable steps for your goal? You know what a hamburger's like, right? And you're picking it up and you're gonna bite into it, stuff falls out the other side, right? That's what happens. That's what happens when you have a big goal. Say your hamburger is your goal, right? And what happens is you can't see everything that's stacked up in that hamburger. I mean, you might eventually bite into a pickle, but you might not be able to see the pickle from the outside, right? So if you've taken all the action steps that are in your goal, and you just say, well, I have to do this, and 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 you stack them all up, what you really have is a bunch of stuff that you don't know, what am I supposed to do first? Can I even do this? Does this need help? And inevitably, something's going to fall out the other side and it's not going to get done. So when we deconstruct that hamburger, when we take all your goal, your big stack of action steps in your goal, and we pull them apart and we lay them out in front of us, then we can see what the priorities are. I love sticky notes, so for me, pulling out all those activities that you need to do, it's easy to put one thing on each sticky note and then rearrange them in the way that you need to do. So I'm going to take you through what I did for my nutrition plan because it's the easiest way for me to give you an example of how I deconstructed the hamburger, so to speak, put all these action steps into the goal. So the first thing I'm going to write down is the actual goal. So the goal was to get off of my meds. When I do goals, I always think in 8 weeks. In another video, you know about my 8 weeks, my 8-8-8, and the Super 8 day. But I do it in 8 weeks because our brains can really, really function on what's happening this month and what's happening next month. So if you look here on my paper, there are 2 monthly items here. There are 2 squares. It means what am I going to do each month? Each month, my goal was to keep the appointment. That means that I had an appointment every month with the nutritionist. And so I would keep the appointment. I would not skip it. That was very important to me. If you look down at the next part, we're just going to break down the 4 weeks of a month. So this is week 1, this is week 2, this is week 3, this is week 4. Okay, so what did I do each week? Each week I would follow my plan. See how we're getting smaller and smaller? Because what happens in deconstructing the hamburger, in deconstructing your goal, is that you need to break it down into smaller and smaller pieces. So we started with, here's the goal, get off of my meds. Second was each month I was going to keep my appointment. This helped me with accountability. And then I wanted to follow the plan each week. So what was the plan? So in number 4 here, you see I have 4 things that I was doing each day to follow the plan. So one of the things I needed to do each day was to drink 64 ounces of, you got it, water, right? That was one of the things that I had to do. The second thing was I needed to eat my planned menu. Then I needed to exercise each day. And the last thing I have here was to take the supplements that they prescribed. I'm not a big pill taker, so this was something that I needed to really work on. So each day I was doing these 4 things, which then led to me following the plan each week. Then when I kept the appointment, I would see my progress. And I eventually got off of my meds. So underneath of these, there is room. As you can see, there is room for you to be able to list any of the things that you need to do. For me to drink water, I needed to put on a timer. So every hour, I was drinking 10 ounces of water. Creating a habit is super important when we are deconstructing the hamburger. So if you have a big project that you're doing, you may not get down to creating a habit that's going to be long-term. Many of these things are long-term habits now. I don't set timers anymore, but I do get enough water and take my supplements and things like that, and exercise. But when you're first doing it, when you're first getting used to it, it really needs to be something where you have reminders, because we can't leave it up to chance that we will remember to do it. Deconstructing the hamburger for your goals means really breaking apart all of the different parts of that goal. What does it look like for you to be able to do the goal? What actions are inside of that? And take it apart, look at it, write down one specific thing on each of your sticky notes, and then prioritize and put those into order. It helps because what happens in your brain sees a big stack of stuff to do. And it starts to swirl around in your head. And I know you've been there. It starts to swirl around in your head, and you're not sure what you're doing, what you're supposed to do next, how you can get it done, because your brain only sees the big picture of the goal. By breaking it down into these components, into these parts, we can see the individual actions, and then we can put them into order. I hope this has helped you think differently about how you're approaching your goals. Write in the comments below a goal that you have right now, and tell me if you can see the different action steps that you now need to take because you've broken it down. I would love to know that you're having success with this method of deconstructing the hamburger. Make sure that you like this video, leave that comment, and subscribe. Make sure to click the bell notification so you're reminded when the next post is up. Thanks for watching the Truth in Business Show. I hope that you can use deconstructing the hamburger with your next project or goal. Thanks so much for being here, and as always, be filled to overflowing.